California, we're facing the worst. We're facing the worst recall since the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, and this is just the sequel with the new villain, coronavirus. But first, coffee. Good morning. It's been a minute. Welcome everybody on HBTV, YouTube, and Facebook. And it's your favorite show to have morning with coffee with your favorite person, me. And I am HP CEO Ramon, artist, rapper, all that good stuff. And today I have a wonderful guest, a good friend of mine. He's clearly what I would be if I was white. And so without further ado, the president of Hope Recovery International Incorporated. I don't know if I named it right, but my friend Sean Kelly. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
This is early.
This is early for us.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel it this way. Like this morning, I feel so groggy. It's not even funny. But
I think I should have shaved. I'm looking at my face now.
So Sean Kelly, first of all, congratulations. Sean Kelly is a grandfather, new grandfather.
Yes, thank you so much.
First time grandfather.
Yeah, I've been waiting a while.
Yeah. How many days old is he?
Gosh, he was born on last Thursday. Okay. So what's that? Friday? I don't know. That's like 5 or 6 days?
5 or 6 days, yeah. He's a cutie too, man. Looks just like you. Not saying that you're cute. There it is.
There he is, right there. Isn't that crazy?
Cool. Yeah.
That picture was taken on Sunday, and he was just what? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days old.
A full head.
He looks like a little man.
Mm-hmm. Looks just like you.
Yes.
So for those people who don't know, Sean Kelly and I have been friends since 2016. I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was an interesting. We had lunch at Chick-fil-A. We connected through a mutual friend, and the first day we met was at lunch at Chick-fil-A, and we were kind of trying to figure each other out. And I at the time I thought he was just like this big mega. I thought you were like this big mega pastor. Like, yeah, a church of like 3,500 people. So I was trying to be on my P's and Q's as best as possible. And the second time we met, well, actually, before we get into how we met, because I think that's interesting too. Tell us a little bit about Hope. Tell us a history about Hope and what it is.
Well, Hope Recovery Center is I'll give you sort of the elevator speech, but it's a nonprofit, faith-based recovery center, and it helps people with all types of different things. Whether it's hurts, habits, addictions, depression, anxiety, you name it. I learned a long time ago, well, God put it in my heart a long time ago, what it should be. And it's a place where we'll listen to you, we'll love on you, and we'll make you feel part of something. So it's a building here in Corona that, you could come to during the day. You could come to in the evening. We have different classes. We have Bible studies. We have internships. We have a podcast studio here. We have a recording studio here. So a lot of different things to do. A lot of different things to keep yourself busy, especially after you get sober or after, I don't know. I even had one friend who lost his job. He got injured on the job. He couldn't work and he started going through a depression, but he was able to come here and just sort of find that purpose and find some hope in his life. And it really helped him out.
Awesome. Now, what year did you start? What year did you start this?
We actually started on a Friday night, and we just started as a small group or a life group. It was just a small group of people with similar things going on in their life. And that started back in 2009 or 2010. But it was a Friday night, 7:00, and we just all got together. We put God in the center of that room, and we just watched what happened. And it was amazing because, everyone had a lot of questions, and how do you get through this? How do you get through that? And what was really cool is we were able to be there for each other and help each other out. So that Friday night, like I said, started, I think it was 2010. No, it was 2009. Started, and then it just sort of grew from there, And so that Friday night, we added a Wednesday, we added a Tuesday, and so on until we, finally got the building here. I believe we got the building in 2011. So it's been about 10 years, the building.
So I think it's fascinating. What people don't know about Sean is, or maybe they do know, for the people who do know Sean has a very interesting theory of life, and he has it printed up on a wall, and it's like his motto, his mantra, and it says, do one thing every day that scares you.
Yeah, do something scary every day.
Do something scary every day.
Yeah.
So explain to people how scary it was to step out, because there's a story in stepping out and starting Hope, actually like the building. And I think every day is probably scary for you at Hope, just kind of going through what you do. So talk to people about that. Like, what's that mantra mean to you, and how does it apply to you today?
Sure. When I was well, let me take you back a little bit. 2006, I had 3 heart attacks. 2 of those heart attacks actually killed me, and they brought me back to life. And my life was just in shambles, and it was falling apart. Somebody introduced me to Jesus, and I started going to church, and, it really just sort of changed my life. It changed my life for the better. I fell in love with God, and I was spending a lot of my time at church. Well, as I'm growing in church, I'm getting more involved, and I started volunteering, and which was awesome. And I started volunteering in the kids department. I don't know how I ended up there, but I did. And it was amazing because I got to go to kids camp. And I remember my pastor telling me, okay, kids camp's going to be amazing. You're going to really get something out of this. You're going to, he's sort of talking me up like it's just going to be this awesome thing, and how much I'm going to help these kids and all these things. But it was a little bit different. I think those kids helped me more than anything, because I got to see kid faith. I got to see those little kids when they were singing and praising God. They really were singing and praising God. They weren't doing it because somebody told them to do it. They were doing it because they love God, and they wanted to be near Him. And I remember the very first night there, we were singing, and these kids were just crying, and I'm just like, I just couldn't understand what was going through their head, and all I knew is I wanted what they had. So every night, and I'm getting to the do something scary, but every night we had to go around and we had to pray for all the kids. Well, here I am, a brand new Christian. I was totally afraid to pray out loud. I did not like to pray out loud, and I did not like to talk in public or on a microphone or anything like that. So the very first night, my pastor's like, okay, I want you to go pray for all those kids. And I did not want to, but I did it anyway. I had to do something scary. I had to step out of that comfort zone if I ever wanted to change. And so I go to this one kid and I tell him, all right, I'm here to pray for you. And he tells me what he wants me to pray for him. And so I thought I'd turn the tables on him. And I said, all right, well, you go ahead and pray that, and I'll be right here. And my pastor caught me, and he's like, no, Sean, you need to pray. And I'm like, okay. So I get to this next kid. I'm like, what would you like me to pray for? And he looks at me dead serious in his face. And this kid's like 9 years old. And he says, well, I would like you to pray for me. I want more faith. And I looked at him, and I never heard that before. I'm like, what are you talking about? More faith? How do you get more faith? And he's like, well, you have to use it. You need to use the faith that you already have. And that just sort of blew my mind. Like, well, how do you use your faith? Well, long story short, over the years, I found out using your faith is doing something scary. You know, I looked up that word courage, and it says to do something scary. You have to be scared in order to have courage.
Mm.
So that's just sort of been my motto: do something scary every day. And because I knew I did everything wrong in the beginning. I did everything wrong. And if everything was wrong I need to do the complete opposite now. And it's funny how God's like that, you know. As soon as I started doing everything opposite of what I thought I should be doing, it's turned out all right. It's turned out good.
So what do you say to people when they feel like they don't have any courage? Where do you find courage? Where is it at? Is it like I know I know you and I know your story because we spend time together, and you know mine, and we both have like that moment where we're like, I'm not motivated today. I don't want to do it. I can't go another day. You know, like I made a comment to you yesterday where I had a rough weekend, and I looked around, I looked at the exit door, and I thought to start thinking about other career choices, like maybe Best Buy is hiring. I literally thought that through. Yeah. How do you stay? Like, this is one of the things, and then another thing I mentioned to you yesterday, I remember commenting that the one thing that we have going for us is that we have staying power. We've stayed in the game for a very long time. You've been at Hope for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And never really taking a true salary from Hope.
No.
And, you know, so what's the staying power? How did you get to that point where you're just like, you know what, I'm going to put time in this, and I don't care if I make 100,000 or if I make 5,000, I'm going to keep doing it. Where did that come from, and how do you tap into that every day?
You know, I think when I was at my worst, I seriously lost my hope and purpose in life, and I didn't want to be here anymore. And I knew I was dying unless I did something, and unless I gave my life to something other than myself. And so when I met God, that's what I decided to do, was to give my life really, truly over to him, because otherwise I was dying. I was going to die. And that's what my doctor said. That's what all the experts say. So I was just sort of, okay, I lost my hope, lost my purpose. What now? What do I do? And like I said, luckily I met God, you know, and I say that and people are like, okay, how did you meet God? I met him. And like I said, I fell in love with him. But, you know, I wanted to give back. You know, that was just something burning. When I started getting better, I wanted to help other people get better. Because when I was going through my worst, it was like, okay, I had no idea where to go. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any insurance. I couldn't go into rehab. I'm like, what do I do? Where do I go? And I always told myself, if I could, let's say, win the lotto or something down the road, I would love to open up some kind of recovery center where I could help others going through the same thing. And, you know, and that really helps me, because I remember those times where I was desperate and I was just at my wit's end. It was like, you know, I had nowhere to go, and I hate to see other people like that. So I don't know. It's like my heart opened up for other people that were hurt and lost. But, you know, one of the most important things is that obedience. Obedience has been huge. And I don't even know where I got it from. All I know is I owe God everything. And I shouldn't be here at all. And the Bible teaches us those obedience is better than sacrifice. And there's this one girl coming here to Hope, and she told me, she's like, you know, Pastor, you know what you are? I'm like, no, what? She's all, you're the door opener. I'm all, the door opener? Well, what does that mean? She's like, all you need to worry about is opening that door every day. That's it. Stop stressing about everything else. And I was just like, oh, okay. You know, and if I could just worry about that and let God worry about everything else, I'm going to be okay. And over the years, I have just worried about getting here and opening the door and giving everything else to him, and just, okay, if he wants this place to be open, he's going to keep it open. And I have to trust him that he's going to provide a way. Every month I don't have rent. Every month he shows up and provides rent here. I don't know how that works, but it does. As long as you're being obedient to what he wants.
And,
I don't know if that answered your question, but that was a long-winded answer.
And also, I need to point out to people that you said every month that you don't have rent, but every month it gets paid off. This is for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, this is 10 years strong that you haven't missed. And so imagine this. Imagine you living out whatever God's call is and you're freaked out, you're scared, you don't know how to do it, you don't have the money to do it. Here's somebody that's telling you, listen, I've been doing this for 10 years, have never brought in an income, because listen, to be part of Hope, right? You don't have to pay anything. You could come in and talk. It's just some place people could come in, and I say if people need a break, they could come to Hope. I remember, was it last summer or 2 summers ago, people were coming in just to sit in the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
People were coming in just to charge their phones. There's always a guy after you leave and I'm still there. There's always a guy come in and he puts 50 cents in a little jar and takes a bottle of water and asks for a bottle of water. So Hope is just a place where people could come and just recharge, refresh, whatever it needs. And you've never taken a salary from there, because there was we weren't charging anybody to do anything. Yeah. So for 10 years, God sustained it and really is seriously paid all the bills on it. And I think that's just flabbergasting, right? And so now I'll get to the story of how we met. We met through a mutual friend, Daniel, and we went to Chick-fil-A. And the next time I ran into you, it was probably I did your show when you had your morning show. Mm-hmm. That was the second time we met. At the end of that show, you pretty much handed me the keys to Hope.
Yeah. Here you go.
Here you go. Yeah, sure. You want to do something here? Whatever. Just here's the keys. And I've never given them back. And I swear to God, I thought to myself, well, this will probably last about a year or something. And then he'll have another project and won't need me anymore. But that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago. And Hope has gone through a lot of changes and a lot of shifts, because at the time we had Hope Radio, and now it's translated over to Hope Studios. And talk to us about the podcast studios and people who are coming in to get their podcasts. And you've figured out a way, which I thought this was ingenious, to be a one-stop shop where they can get everything they need through Hope Studios. So talk to us a little bit about Hope Studios.
Well, let me paint the picture a little bit about where Hope is and what it sort of looks like. We're in an industrial area down in Corona. We're sort of in the county, I guess they would call it. And if you were coming down the 15 freeway and you pass Dos Lagos, over on the left-hand side, that's where we are, if you guys know California and stuff. But anyway, we actually face the freeway, and we're sort of in this commercial industrial area. It's 2,000 square feet. And it used to be a motorcycle shop, but we turned it into sort of like a coffee shop atmosphere with the podcast studio. The front where people meet and we do Bible study has couches. It's just very warm, a place where people would want to go and not have to go type thing. So, okay. What was the question, Ramon?
Where are we going?
I just wanted to explain what Hope was.
Okay, yeah, and then talk about Hope Studios. Yeah, Hope Studios.
What was the question about it? What is it?
Like, explain Hope Studios and how it's all one. It's a one-stop shop. And yeah.
Okay. Well, like he said earlier, Hope Recovery Center is a free program. We don't charge anything for anyone to. We got a little echo going on. Okay, it's good. It was distracting me. But Hope Recovery does not charge anything for anyone to come through. Well, we still have bills. That's 2,000 square foot place. We still have to pay the rent, the electric, the gas, the cable, the internet, the insurance, all those things. So how are we going to do that if I'm not charging anybody anything? Well, we definitely take donations from private people, and we do fundraisers. We beg. No, we don't beg. But we do fundraisers and private donations. That's it. I don't take any grants from the state or anything like that. So the podcast studio has been a way where I could charge a tiny bit of money and help other ministries, help other small businesses, help other people who are maybe trying to get their message out, promote their message, and get it out there on podcasts, get it out there on Facebook, on YouTube, all those different things for a small fee. And that small fee goes to help pay our rent. It goes to help do a lot of different things. So a long time ago, I was on another radio station, and I did an interview, and at the end, the guy's like, "Hey, would you like to have your own show?" And I said, "Absolutely not." And here I am, years and years later, and I had my own show. And while I was doing it, I'm like, man, this would be awesome to have my own, because I was only on for an hour a day, one time a week. And I'm like, man, if I had my own radio station, we could be on 24 hours a day. We could do so much. We could reach the world. And next thing you know, we reached the world. We were in over 110 different countries. It's been amazing. So what I thought was, let's build it here, and we'll invite people, and that would just be a means to all. Well, it worked out great. We did that for a couple of years, and but then technology started changing a little bit, and things started going to a podcast studio. Things started going more to podcasting instead of the radio, which was fine because it opened up a lot more avenues to get your message out, a lot more platforms. It was just a different animal. But what was cool was, this wasn't cool. There was a big learning curve. There was no one really knew how to do it. And there wasn't anywhere to go. You just had to sort of learn on your own. You had to learn sound. You had to learn lighting and video and this and all these different platforms. So the learning curve was humongous. Well, over the years, we learned it here, and we put together sort of this package where I just wanted people to come in, sit down, do their show, and go back to where they were, because a lot of people, they're doing their business. They don't have time to learn everything that we learned over the years. They have their own ministry. They're doing this part-time in the evening. They just don't have time to do a podcast like we're doing it here. So we offer this professional studio. You come in, you sit down, you do your show, and you go home, and let me take care of all the rest. I'll take care of the editing, the promotion, the distributing, the hosting, the video, the audio, the marketing, all those different things. We just sort of give you, and we do it for you.
Yeah. And you do everything from even getting it up on like iTunes and all that stuff. And so,
iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, Pandora, you name it. We're on it.
Did you think that did you ever think that this would be where you would end up in life?
No, not even close. I worked in retail for 25 years. I was in management, and I hated it because it was one of those things where you sort of get a job, you work your way up from the bottom to the top. And then I sort of got at the top, and I was like, this is it. This is what my life has come to. I had to do this for the rest of my life, and I hated it. So when I sort of lost everything, I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I didn't want to go back to retail, and I was not going to go back to retail. And I remember not having anything. I'm talking nothing, no driver's license, no car, no house, no anything. And I used to ride my bicycle around this lake I lived by every day. And there was a certain bench I would stop out, and I would pray. And it wasn't like this long old prayer, but it was sort of like, okay, God, if you're real, please help me, help me, help me, help me. But just having no even hope in my life, I couldn't see anything. But I think about those days now, and I think, how did I get here, Lord? I was just on a bicycle last week begging you for something. And now I'm sitting in this office at Hope Recovery Center helping other people sort of get their life back in order.
Is there anything, I know the answer, but at least I think I do. You're a pretty modest person. So there's people who watch the show, they watch it on repeat a lot on Facebook, and I get messages like, because the whole point of the show is having people who are, who I believe are inspirational, who are inspirational to me and people that I look up to in a manner, some form. But the thing about you is you're so modest. And the question was going to be, what makes you different? And I know the answer is nothing, you know, but there's got to be something, right, Sean? Because do you feel different? Do you feel like there's something that you know that other people don't know? Because I always wonder what's the secret for certain people. So is there something that you think you know that no one else knows? That's not meant to be in a bragging way, but just how is this happening? Because I want people to understand that this is happening. He's not, somebody didn't come and hand him a stack of cash and said, go do it. Someone,
No.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if we can show you the pictures of the studio, he literally figured out how to build a studio in this industrial building. He figured out how to do a studio. And correct, you don't have any engineer background. You're not an engineer of any kind.
No.
So
I watched a lot of YouTube videos and I read a lot.
You read a lot in YouTube videos, built a studio, I recorded my new album there. The one that just came out last week. I recorded it at Hope. So
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And so it's just like, this is not, you're not that kind of person where somebody blessed you with 100,000 and you just went and did it. Like, you figured out, I'll rent out this building, I'll build this studio. It needs to sound like this. It needs to be like this. I'm going to get this board. I'm going to get this equipment. And you just figure things out. Yeah. Like, I don't know what you're going to say, but like, talk a little bit on that. Like, how did you get to that point? And what I'm lost for the question, I guess, is what I'm lost for the question, because it's like, there's got to be something that makes you different than everybody else. And there is, because it's obviously something intangible, because I've talked to people who quit after a month. Like, they'll try, like, people come in, and I see it a lot too at Hope. People come in a lot. I don't know how many people come in with big aspirations of what they're going to do with their podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they have more followings than you and I put together, you know, and it just falls flat, or they don't see the numbers that they want initially. I remember one guy who just didn't see the numbers that he wanted to see first couple of weeks, and he was like, that's it. And it was something you were doing wrong and all this other stuff. So you have extreme patience and a lot of trust. You trust God, you trust people. In this day and age, that's just a rare find. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's the trust. Where did you get that from? Because I know you've been done wrong a lot in your life, but you still continue to trust people. Where does that come from?
You know, I think it just keeps on going back to God. You know, when I had nothing, when I had no one to trust, no one to be there for me, I had no one. So, like I said, I gave my life to God, and it wasn't some big old miracle that happened overnight. It happened very, very slowly, and it happened with a lot of obedience. You know, I remember this one story. I was very brand new to being a Christian, and I was going to church, and I was going to this, and I just wanted to know more and more and more and more about God. And when that whole obedience thing came into play, I was reading in the Bible, I was reading about Saul and reading about David and reading about how Saul was this obedient, you know, king who God was, God favored him and did this and this and this. But when he wasn't obedient, when he finally sort of did his own thing, God, oh my gosh, it scared me to death, because God sort of took away all that from Saul and really almost gave it to David, you know, and and it was crazy. And that's where I got that obedience is better than sacrifice. So obedience, how do you get obedience? It was as simple as I would hear God's voice in my head and I'd argue with him all the time. Like, no, 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 I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But there was these little, like, sort of, okay, Sean, I want you to do this. Just this little sort of push this way. And once I started listening to that and started listening to just that subtle maybe hint in my head and my heart, I started doing it more and more and more and more and more. It was as simple as driving down the road and I see a stop sign, God's like, go left. And I'm like, but I want to go right. No, go left. And just hearing him, answering him, and then turning left. I know that sounds weird, but this one time I was walking into a grocery store and there's 2 exits and I'm walking in all the way over to the right. And there's an exit all the way over to the left. So I'm walking into the right. I parked right by that exit. I'm walking in that exit. As soon as I walk in, right to the right-hand side's a bank. That's where I was going. This makes sense. Walk in that door, right there's the bank. As I'm walking in, God's like, don't go in that door, go in the other door. I'm like, and it's not this loud voice, but this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm hearing in my own head. And I'm like, okay, listen, I am not going to go all the way down to this left door to walk in. There's no reason when I'm right here. So what did I do? I did not listen. I did not walk in that left door. I walked in the right. As soon as I took one step in that building, there was a big spill. And this other worker was cleaning it. And he looks at me. He's like, sir, I'm sorry, you can't enter in this way. I need you to go all the way down to the left door. I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? But man, I tell that story. I still remember that story. That story was like 16 years ago. And from there, I just started being more obedient. And I started seeing God show up more and more and more and more. And it was little. And then those little things became humongous things. Then it was like, okay, this is all I know. All I know is if I could trust God, put my life in his hands, per se, he's going to take care of things for me. I don't know how, but he's going to. And it's not always perfect. It's not like I said, okay, God, you do all this. You pay the rent. We're late on rent here a lot. But we're still here. We still catch up. We haven't got kicked out. And I don't know. I don't know. I just really believe it's that little bit of obedience, but it's also, I believe it has to do with maybe my heart too. I have just such a heart for the broken and the lost and people who are out there that are searching. I just know how much I searched and how much I wanted to be loved. Really, truly. And I finally found that person to love me, and that's God.
You found during this time too, you ran into so many different people, so many different personalities. At one point, the different types of people that were walking in the door of hope. I'll tell you right now, going back to you having patience, you have major patience to deal with some of the people that walk through that building, walk through those doors. Yeah. I'll tell you what. And it's interesting because whenever you talk and you talk about stuff before finding God, it's hilarious to wrap my head around it. Like used to be when you talk about how much of an athlete you are, like we have such parallel lives. It's funny because like here you are. I went to Ataloma High School. You went to Etiwanda, which was a huge rival. And you're just a couple years older than me, but during the 90s, we may have crossed paths at some point, maybe a football game or something like that. But I find that hilarious because you used to be an athlete. Are you extremely competitive, and are you still competitive today?
Oh, heck yeah. I still think I could beat anybody in anything. Yeah, I was extreme athlete. I wanted to be a professional athlete. That was going to be my goal. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I was really good in almost every single sport I could play.
That's so funny. That makes me laugh.
I played, 10 plus years in baseball, 10 plus years in basketball. you know, BMX racing. I was in track and cross country and football. And I mean, you name it, I loved it. And I sort of found out down the road, and when I got older and started examining my life a little bit more, one of the biggest reasons I love sports was I got my dad's approval.
Mm.
And it was a good way. It was the only way I could get him to say, hey, good job, son. Or man, you did really good, or you did really crappy today.
Mhm.
You know, and I liked it. And so the more sports I played and the better I got, the more, you know, that a boys I got.
Mhm.
And did not even realize that until years and years and years later.
Wow,
So
that's crazy. I've been trying to pull it up on my screen, but my computer is not acting up. I think I have too much stuff on it. I need to clean it today. But I was gonna pop up your book, My Black Friday.
oh, actually, I have one right here. Look at that. That's
There you go.
weird.
Yeah, there's this book, My Black Friday. You can still get it out. How old is the book?
This came out 2011.
And what's the book about? Talk to us a little bit about the book.
You know, it's the little subtitle down here. It's How I Died Twice to Find Hope. And you know, here's something crazy. I hardly ever went to school. You know, I didn't like to read a lot, but I think before I was a Christian, I hardly read. I don't think I read a whole book from front to cover. But after I became a Christian, that's all I did was read. That's all I wanted to do was read more and more and more and more. So when I wrote this book, oh my gosh, I only read a handful of books. And then here I am writing a book. But it, you know, it's a story I had to share. It wasn't because I wanted to brag on myself or tell this big old awesome story about me. It was all about God. It's how God took this guy who just had all these heart attacks, who died a couple times, who had nothing, and gave him a life and gave him a purpose and gave him a new wife and a new family and a new job and a new purpose in life. How he saved me from death completely. And I just felt this burning in my heart to share it so I could help other people. Maybe other people could read this book and identify with something in here, you know, because I talk about my childhood. I talk about my parents going through a divorce. I talk about on my 16th birthday, my mom invites me out to lunch. Here I'm thinking she's going to give me keys to a brand new car. It's my 16th birthday, and she looks at me and she's all, you know your dad? I'm like, yeah, I think I know my dad. She's like, well, that's not your real dad.
Wow.
Well, what do you mean that's not my real dad? That's all I know. Well, he raised you ever since you were 2 months old, but your real dad, he split when you were, you know, just a couple weeks old, and we don't know where he is or anything like that. And it blew my mind. And at first I'm like, no big deal. My dad, he raised me. I don't care. But over the years, I kept on thinking, I wonder what that guy's like. I wonder why he left me. I wonder why he didn't love me. All these abandonment issues started coming up. So a long story, that's in this book. This book is just about a normal guy going through extreme measures in his life and how God got him through it and how he could get you through it too. This book has been amazing because I will pick it up and I will reread it over and over. And I'm like, dang, I forgot about that. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. It's such a good reminder of how God has answered all my prayers, how he's been there through everything, and how I forget all the time. Wow. You know, I've been able to send this to so many different people, give away so many copies of this. At one point, I had this campaign. I wanted to give away 10,000 copies. I gave away a lot. I don't think I ever reached the 10,000, but we gave away thousands of them for free. I sent a lot of them to prisons that some of my friends were at. I sent a lot of prisons that, you know, that just, you know, wanted wanted it. And then that book, one prisoner would read it, and then he would just sort of pass it along. But it's awesome how God allows us to share our testimonies to inspire and to help other people. Because I'll be honest, the thing that saved my life was someone sharing their testimony with me. A stranger. He was my uncle, but I did not know him. I didn't know his story. I knew nothing about that. He shared that story, and it gave me hope that maybe I too can be saved, and maybe God can love me like he loved my uncle.
Wow. Well, that's very transparent.
Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty good. Why don't you have a podcast? When's your podcast? Are you gonna do one?
The fake answer.
Gotta do one, man.
You know, this is gonna suck because my do something scary every day is not gonna play into my answer right now.
Right.
Because I'm scared.
What are you scared of?
I've probably done over 1,000 shows, and I decided 1 year to run for city council. And it changed my life. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. It was the stupidest thing I ever done. It was something I hope I never have to do again. But it was something God told me to do. And I had to be obedient, and I had to do it, even though I had no business being there. But if I didn't do what God wanted me to do, was I going to be like Saul? Was he going to take away everything that he gave me? So I ended up doing it. And in that process, I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. But like I said, it was hard. It was scary. A lot of tears. There was just a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't even know about. And one of those things was I've been in a little sort of Christian bubble. And I sort of got out of that bubble, and I'm in sort of the real world with people that hate God, hate him, and they hate me because of it. Because I love God, they hate me. And so my social media became filled with people that hated me, that wanted me to do nothing with me because I was a Christian, because I was a pastor. They found out I was a pastor running for city council. He has no business being there. And it just got bad. I sort of know how the celebrities, not that I'm a celebrity, but I sort of know how the celebrities feel when people attack them. And sometimes there's a lot of lies in there. Sometimes it's the truth. But so the reason I don't have a podcast is after that all was done and said, I was tired. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to deal with the negativity. I didn't want to deal with the trolls on Facebook, on social media anymore. I just wanted a break. Well, that break has lasted, I think, 2 years now?
2 years.
Yeah, I think it's time for me to go back.
Yeah.
And every week I say, okay, I'm going back. I'm going to do a show. And I don't. And I need to do something scary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time.
That stage of your life when you ran for city council was probably the most intense moment of even my life. And I wasn't even there for half of what you went through.
Yeah.
But I seriously thought to myself at one point, I'm like, I think we're all going to end up going to jail. Because if you've never ran for any kind of politician role or never did politics, like you think you have a concept of what goes on. Like this, I wasn't even in the campaign at all, but I was standing on the outskirts pretty close, and I was just like, oh my God, like we're going to fight. We're actually going to end up fighting people. You know, people would actually get on your Facebook, like befriend you on Facebook just to talk crap about you on your page. And this was historical for me because when I saw your name in the Los Angeles Times, and their Los Angeles Times is doing an article about Hope and Sean,
Yeah.
but not in a good way. I
Nope.
was like, wow, I'm gonna have to fight somebody. And I remember
It's
we went
crazy.
to yeah.
I remember that chick from LA Times. She wanted me to answer some questions, wanted to do an interview, and I told her no.
Mhm.
I don't have time right now, and I walked away. And well, she just wrote whatever she wanted.
She did, and it was
Whatever
rough.
she wanted.
And it was rough. That article was rough.
Wow.
Yeah, man. People are, and I remember a guy that was another mutual friend, but he's not a friend of neither one of us now. But he blasted you, and I was looking for him for like a long time, and he looked at it and find him. But I was like, I remember there was a city council. That was when I had to walk away, and I was like, I need to take a breather because I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I don't know if it was a town hall meeting or a city council meeting. It was a city council meeting.
Yeah.
And I've never seen white people this mad before. That's what I remember. I kept telling you, like, man, these white people are mad. And I remember having the Corona Police Department rolling because I was like, I just want you all to know these white people are mad, and I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's funny. Normally you go to city council meeting and there's no police there.
No.
But there was undercover. There was probably 30, 40 police officers there. There was the Christians. There was the atheists. There was the Muslims.
Everybody was there.
Hate speech going on. There was a lot of things going on. I hired a bodyguard that night.
Yeah, you did.
Protect me.
There's a bodyguard there. And there was a line. There was a line in the lobby to get into the room to give their 2 cents. I was like, I can't. This was intense. And so
this is stupid. If I'm sitting here listening to this podcast and these two guys are talking about a city council being that crazy, these guys are lying. That's all I keep on thinking. But it was so crazy. It was just such a crazy time because it was me running, my other friend, and my other friend, right? Mm-hmm. Well, all three of us were pastors. Yeah. 3 pastors running in a city council race, and we're all in different districts. Yeah. So they just thought, oh, this is crooked. Yeah. This is wrong. Christians, oh my gosh. So people just flipped out.
It was nasty. That was the nastiest thing. You didn't do too bad though. I'll tell you that much. In the numbers I was watching them, you didn't do too bad. You didn't do too bad.
Came in second.
Yeah.
Out of 4. That's not bad.
Spoken like a true competitor.
I didn't lose by that much.
No, you didn't lose by that much.
And I'm not even going to get into all that. Hey, I did my best. I did what God wanted me to do, and I lasted, and I didn't quit.
Do you think what you learned? What was the reason behind it? Like you said, you met more people outside of your box, but was there more? Was there more that you probably got out of it?
Oh yeah, my running mate. It was this girl who's the mayor right now. But anyway, she won. She worked for Planned Parenthood, and she just stood for a lot of different things that I did not stand for. Well, her job was to do things I hated. And so anyway, one of the biggest things was, okay, if I did not run, what's going to happen? They're like, well, she wins. Well, I can't just stand back and do nothing. So that's one big thing I learned is if I don't stand up and do something, who is? Who is? Because everyone was like, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I think after that race, I think a lot of people saw, something. If that pastor guy who knew nothing, if he could do it, maybe I could do it. Because there's been some other people after that who have stepped up to the role, who have answered that calling, and who have ran, and some of them won, some of them haven't. But I think, it's that I don't know where it says it, but it's like help who you can with what you have right now. Don't wait. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Just help who you can. So that was a big thing. I know we inspired a lot of people to step out of their comfort zones. And you know something, maybe down the road, or maybe even it's happening right now, maybe because one person saw that me and my friends ran, they're gonna win, and who knows, they could be the next president for all we know. Because what I learned too in politics was everything starts at the local level and it works its way up from there. Everything you see going on right now in this world has started at the local level. It starts right here in city council. So who knows?
Yeah, that was a interesting story. That was an interesting stage in your life for all of us. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. When they put the Address of Hope on there, I was like, okay, I had to come to Hope Strap now. Oh man. So here's some fun questions. To get out of here with. You don't have to, well, yeah, I want you to answer them. So here we go. What advice would you give someone wanting to what advice would you give someone who wants to do podcasting?
Oh, do it. It's okay. Here's an example. I ran for city council. You know the stupid little mailers you get in your mailbox that are all colorful and it's like, vote for me.
Yeah.
You know that one piece costs $1 if you get a good deal on it. $1. Okay. So if you send out, there's 170,000 people in Corona. Do you have $170,000 to send one piece of mail out to one mailbox? No. So isn't that sort of a waste of money? How else can I broadcast my message? How else can I get out my message? Well, there's the snail mail, like I just described. Yeah. There's something you could put on TV, but TV's going away. It's going to the streaming and it's going to all these other platforms. Or you go on the radio. Radio's going away, because now people are doing Sirius radio and they're doing internet radio and you can do all sorts of different things. So here you go. Podcast. Okay. Well, what's a podcast? Podcast is awesome because it goes to so many different platforms. Podcast, your message could be on everyone's phone. Well, how? Well, there's a podcast button that comes with your phone. You push podcast. You're like, oh, hey, what's that? You look for your podcast or a podcast you like, you find one, you like it, and then every week you're going to get new updates. Hey, but first, Coffee is up. They have a brand new episode, up. Is that what the name of this show is?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just being honest, man. I'm sorry. Anyway, podcast is such an amazing way to get out your message. Because when I'm at the gym and I want to listen to something, say I want to listen to a podcast, I can listen to it. Let's say I'm in the bathroom, I want to listen to a podcast, I can listen to it. Let's say I'm in the car, I want to listen to a podcast, I can listen to it. And what's really cool is I could search and find different podcasts that I want to watch. It's not like the radio where you're tuning in, you're like, oh, maybe I like that song. Okay, I'll listen to it. Or you're just sitting there tuning and you don't find anything. With the podcast, it's right here. You have so much control of what you're listening to, how long you listen to. It's way cheaper than sending an ad out to everyone's house. And the bottom line is you can reach so many, many, many people through podcasting, through the live videos that we do, through marketing, social media, all those other things. It's an amazing tool that we have now.
Yeah. What is the best resource that has helped you on your journey? The best resource?
God.
There you go.
What kind of answer were you looking for? Besides God being my number one resource.
Yeah.
What were you?
Yeah.
Give me like an example of what you were thinking about.
Well, for me, I thought your answer was going to be YouTube.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That would be huge. YouTube has taught me a lot. And podcasts have taught me a lot because, I don't like to waste a whole bunch of time. So when I am working out, I will listen to something educational. I won't really listen to music too much, but I'll turn on something that's going to teach me something so I can learn what I'm trying to learn, because the learning curve's always gigantic and I need as much as I can. So yeah, YouTube has been huge, and other people, mentors in my life, people that have been where I've been and can be there to be that mentor. I think mentors are huge if you find the right one.
Okay. Which actually takes me to my last question. Who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
Wow. 3. That's a hard question. Because there's so many different parts of my life, and I'm trying to think. Something I would say my first pastor, he was my children's pastor. He was my best friend or my best man in my wedding. But he taught me so much, and he gave me so many opportunities to follow God. He didn't put any rules on me. He's like, just go do it. And he just trusted me. So yeah, he would definitely be one. And I've had a couple other pastor mentor people that have really played a big part of my life that I spent a lot of time with. That's probably Pastor John, and my Pastor Devlin. So it's been 2 pastors right there back to back.
Yeah.
And my wife has been a big part. Even though we butt heads a lot, man, God gave me a strong woman to maybe knock down some of that selfishness and some of that other crap that I have. We always tell each other, there's only one person that can handle you, Sean, and that's her. And there's only one person that can handle her, and that's me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Stacey's amazing, man. Awesome. Well, man, it's been an hour. I've tortured you long enough. I know Sean, even though Sean is built to be here. Sean is built to be in front of the camera. He's built to do this podcast. He's built for this. But it's so funny because I know that sometimes you get a lot of anxiety when you gotta be in the camera. You're like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But you're built for it.
I didn't want to do it this morning.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't.
The invite did not come until like 5 minutes after. I'm like, well, that's it. What was it in school? If the teacher didn't show up for like 6 minutes, you didn't have to go to class.
Yeah.
I almost didn't come to class today.
He was excited when he didn't see that invite. But then it came in. He was like,
damn it.
But you did great, man. Enjoyed your company. Sean Kelly, where can people find the book at? It's on Amazon, right?
It is on Amazon. Yeah, there you go. Black Friday. MyBlackFridayBook.com, I believe, is the website. But anyway, you could type that in right to Amazon and get it. Yeah. And you know what I would say, if you do get it, after you're done reading it, maybe give it to one of your friends. Yeah. Like I said, it's not this great story about me. It's this great story about God and what he can do.
Mm-hmm. And if people want to know more about Hope, either on the recovery or they want to have a podcast that they want to do, where can they find that at?
Well, what's funny? We had a fundraiser, and this fundraiser was amazing. It was our first one in the year because of this coronavirus stuff. But long story short, our website crashed. Many people wanted to go on and help and find information and donate. It crashed. It's gone. So I'm in the middle of building it back right now. It used to be, and it's still going to be, HopeRecoveryCenterInc.org. HopeRecoveryCenterInc.org. And it should be up here within the next week. Or you could just call me. My number is 951-694-2942. 951-694-2942. I answer any question you have. That would be for the Recovery Center or the studio.
Got it. Awesome, man. Well, thank you again for coming on my show, having coffee, or well, for you, Diet Coke with me. And I'll see you.
I know, huh?
I'll see you a little bit later today, most likely. And thanks for coming on the show. You guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a great Tuesday. Stay blessed. And yeah, we're out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.